Big tech corporations now have to think twice about deplatforming Floridians. Residents of the Sunshine State are now able to sue social media platforms over censorship. This comes as the FCC commissioner sets out proposals to tackle big tech. Iowa and Alabama join a growing list of states banning vaccine passports. This comes as Michigan's governor rescinds a rule capping restaurant parties at 6 people. The move comes 2 days after she was caught violating the restriction herself. And Oregon becomes the first state requiring proof of vaccination in order to enter without a mask. Tune into Deep Dive as we explore these topics and more. Hello and welcome. This is Deep Dive and I'm Tiffany Meier. Lots happening with big tech. Let's kick off with the Sunshine State. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis signed a bill into law on Monday banning big tech censorship in his state. That makes Florida the first state in the union to enact such laws. Under the new law, courts can award up to $100,000 in monetary damages for each proven claim. DeSantis says the bill protects everyday Floridians, not just elites or celebrities. DeSantis says we now have a situation in which these massive companies in Silicon Valley are exerting a power over our population that really has no precedent in American history. And I would suggest the monopolies today, these big tech monopolies, are exerting way more influence for our society than the monopolies of the earliest 20th century. DeSantis explains some of the contents big tech companies censor the most include debates about the origins of the virus and about the efficacy of the pandemic lockdowns. He says big tech are penalizing people for suggesting that the virus might have leaked from the Wuhan lab, saying, but you remember when people last year were raising that as something that needs to be investigated. They were deplatformed for talking about the lab leak theory. They were censored for having said that. Now even Fauci admits that this may be something that very well is the case. Are they gonna now censor Fauci? To prevent big tech from interfering in elections, the new law also allows the state to fine social media companies $250,000 per day for deplatforming any state-level political candidates. Florida's Attorney General can bring action against big tech if they violate this law. DeSantis believes other states will follow suit, saying it starts in Florida, but it doesn't end in Florida. This comes as Federal Communications Commissioner Brandon Carr has a new proposal targeting big tech. He says big tech has enjoyed a free ride on our internet infrastructure while sticking everyday Americans with billions of dollars in costs. It is time to end this sweetheart deal and force big tech to pay its fair share. He details his proposal in an op-ed piece for Newsweek. He notes that Netflix, YouTube, Amazon Prime, Disney Plus, and Microsoft account for 75% of all traffic on rural broadband networks. He says in this way, ordinary Americans, not big tech, have been footing the bill for those costs. Those costs are related to adding capacity or otherwise supporting the delivery of those streaming services. He suggests that ending this corporate welfare is more than fair. Adding historically, the businesses that derive the greatest benefit from a communications network pay the lion's share of the costs. He is calling on these streaming giants to pay up an equitable amount. He sets forth several options, noting for one, Congress should enact legislation that ensures big tech contributes an equitable amount. Doing so would be timely given ongoing congressional discussions about paying for the broadband portion of a broader infrastructure package. He says ending big tech's free ride on the internet would represent a long overdue return to the historic compact, under which the businesses that benefit from a network pay their fair share for it. As for the American people, he says this shift would lower monthly bills for millions of Americans, adding the end result would allow businesses and consumers alike to prosper. Now going back to the Sunshine State, Florida is joining a growing list of states ending the $300 weekly federal pandemic unemployment compensation. Florida is now the 23rd state to opt out of the jobless boost. It is part of a bid to encourage people to get back to work amid a labor shortage and a booming economy. The state's employment agency made the announcement. Starting on June 27th, Florida is ending its participation in the $300 weekly supplemental payment program. It is under what's called Return to Work Initiative. Other states planning on ending the unemployment boost are Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, Idaho, Indiana, Iowa, Mississippi, Missouri, Montana, New Hampshire, North Dakota, Ohio, Oklahoma, South Carolina, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, West Virginia, and Wyoming. 19 of the states also plan to opt out of the other federal unemployment benefit programs. The move comes in part after the April jobs report. It was a major miss, with the expectation being over 1 million, but the actual number came in at 266,000 jobs added. Many noting the last time the jobs report was this off was 23 years ago in 1998. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce saying at the time that the federal government should end the $300 a week jobless aid to ease labor shortage. Those payments were set to go through September. Now, before we leave the Sunshine State, Florida's Governor DeSantis was one of the first to take a strong stance against so-called vaccine passports. He first issued an executive order in early April and then signed a bill into law in May to ban vaccine passports. Now, several states are following suit. The latest states joining in are Iowa and Alabama. Both governors signed bills into law recently. The two laws are similar. Both bar state agencies from issuing ID that show personal vaccine records, adding that no business or government entities should require proof of vaccination to provide admission or service. Other states taking similar actions are Texas, Idaho, Arizona, South Dakota, Montana, South Carolina, and Wyoming. Utah, Arkansas, and North Dakota, meanwhile, have passed bills into law to deal with the issue. Vaccine passports have been criticized by civil liberties groups, who say they would potentially violate Americans' privacy rights while denying key services to people who are not vaccinated. The White House has said that the Biden administration is opposed to federal vaccine passport mandates, but White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki has said that the administration is working on guidelines for private companies regarding the use of such systems. And Michigan's governor, meanwhile, is going a different route. The Michigan Health Department released a new order that doesn't include a rule barring groups of more than 6 people from sitting together at restaurants and bars. This comes 2 days after Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer was caught violating the restriction herself. Whitmer said she made a mistake when gathering with roughly a dozen others over the weekend in a crowded bar in Michigan's capital. It violated the state's rule on indoor gatherings. The governor also said she didn't think the bar where she broke the state's rules should be fined by authorities. The executive director of Michigan Rising Action told the Epoch Times that Whitmer should rescind violations and refund fines paid by people and businesses accused of violating pandemic restrictions. And local media report one community in Michigan became so fed up with the pandemic rules that some started saying they identify as fully vaccinated in order to ditch masks. As more states push back against vaccine passports, Oregon becomes the first state to require proof of vaccination in order to enter places sans mask. The state's health authority is requiring people wanting to enter workplaces, businesses, and religious sites must first show proof of vaccination if they want to enter maskless. This came after the CDC rolled back mask restrictions for those vaccinated. The agency said in a statement, businesses, employers, and faith institutions doing so must have a policy in place to check the vaccination status of all individuals before they enter their establishment. Businesses, employers, and faith institutions who do not create such policies will maintain the same masking guidance listed below, regardless of an individual's vaccination status. But a spokesperson for a business group, Oregon Business and Industry, is raising concerns. He told the New York Times they have serious concerns about the practicality of requiring business owners and workers to be the enforcer. Adding, we are hearing from retailers and small businesses who are concerned about putting their frontline workers in a potentially untenable position when dealing with customers. It is also raising concerns for those who don't want to wear masks or take the vaccine. That is due to a number of concerns including safety, side effects, efficacy, mistrust in pharmaceutical companies, and a lack of full FDA approval. Among those concerns, reports of heart conditions in young people after taking the vaccine. Connecticut has reported 18 cases of a heart condition called myocarditis. All required hospitalization. Myocarditis is an inflammation of the heart muscle. According to Mayo Clinic, symptoms include chest pain and abnormal heartbeat and shortness of breath. The acting health commissioner told reporters the cases have been rare and mild. No other state appears to have publicly reported similar cases. The Salem Statesman Journal reported that the Oregon Health Authority told healthcare providers in a May 20th notification that there were at least 6 recorded cases of myocarditis in the state following vaccination. The CDC says it is investigating reports of the condition. The CDC's Vaccine Safety Work Group says as of May 25th, they've gotten 155 reports regarding myocarditis among people who received a COVID-19 jab. The group said it concluded there are relatively few reports of myocarditis to date, and that the cases predominantly occur in adolescents and young adults within 4 days after vaccination. They add that most cases appear to be mild. Pfizer and Moderna have said they are aware of the reports. And this comes as Moderna announced on Tuesday its vaccine is 100% effective in children. The company said no cases of COVID-19 were observed in clinical trial participants who got 2 doses of Moderna. This follows on the heels of Pfizer. Pfizer said in late March a trial showed its vaccine was safe in kids as young as 12. The FDA on May 10th expanded the emergency use authorization for Pfizer's shot to children between the ages of 12 and 15. Latest numbers show about 88,000 kids in that age group have since received 2 Pfizer jabs, and another 2.1 million have gotten 1 dose of the shot. But what do you think? Let me know below. Thanks for tuning in to Deep Dive. I'm Tiffany Meier, and see you soon.